Thank you very much. I'm having an affair with Vincent Brown. It's going great. He wouldn't look at me. I'm the wrong colour and the wrong size. I'd like to thank you very much for the privilege of this invite. I need to speak to you here this afternoon and this evening as who I am in my heart. Not what I am or where I am, but who I am in a very thin, sculpted, coded self. I also want to speak to you realistically and without illusions. A student in Oxford said to Einstein, "I think it's disgraceful that you set the exact same questions this year as last year." "I disagree," said Einstein. "Questions may be the same, but physics has moved on. And the answers are very different this year." Our republic is 100 years old, and our answers to old questions have to be very different, because the questions do not change, but how we answer them has to change. We cannot find the solutions now because we fail in the clearness of vision, or in boldness of heart, or in singleness of purpose. Porrick Pierce said that in The Murder Machine. And I'm saying it again this evening. It may now be time for the government to employ a jester. I say this in the sense of Lear and his fool, because a fool never buys into the mainstream. One of the roles of a jester is to declare, just because you're the boss doesn't mean you know what's right. The jester's role is to draw attention to what's going wrong and to stir things up. All the really important problems were long ago solved by our ancestors, only their solutions have been forgotten. Kurt Vonnegut's last book was entitled A Man Without a Country. I do not subscribe, nor do I parallel that title. I love this country, I love the island, and I am proud to be standing in it today. He was, of course, writing about the USA, but what he had to say is very important. He argues that the leading characters in our history books have been the most enthralling and sometimes the most terrifying guessers. Some of the loudest and most profoundly ignorant guessing is going on in Europe. Some of our international leaders seem to be sick of solid information, research, scholarship, investigative reporting, and downright common sense. But the guessing, in fact, the people who know more than the common people, and sometimes less, give us the illusion that we are in control of our destinies. Our greatest example of this would be the toxic accountants, the toxic bankers, and some toxic politicians who did not look to solid information, research, scholarship, and investigative reporting, and who guessed us directly into penury for decades to come. Persuasive guessing can never have a part in a 1916 or a 2016 of the future. If ever Ireland was in need of the most real, the most compassionate, the most imaginative and creative, non-guessing way forward, it is to be found in ageing in Ireland. We cannot continue to guess our way through that huge and profound topic. It is more important than all the shouting about water. We knew, and we continue to know, that our population is getting older. Soon there will be 1 million people. 1 million people over 65. We did not get old as a population overnight. It's been happening over 30 years. Step-down beds, step-up beds, bed blockers, nursing homes, primary care. It's been coming around the corner for 20 years. To use a stark reality, the Taliban and ISIS from the tribal regions of Pakistan and the Middle East are coming round the corner since 1948. Now, I am arguing that any new republic, we must take heed of the reality of how we are and how we plan for how we will be, inevitably, are going to be in the next 20 years. As a country, we hate planning. I've learnt that in politics. We either write it, shelve it, give it language, but we rarely activate it. Our dislike of planning is also why 60% of us, 66% of us, do not make a will. So my answer to ageing in the future Ireland is what? In all Greek drama, when the king was not listened to, when destruction was visited on the city, when the gods have been buried, when isolation of the one and the many, when the elder chorus always come on, around this rise and fall of atrocities have been ignored and silenced, they arrive on the stage, usually to offer solace and wisdom. You courted calamity, resign yourselves, wise conduct is the key to happiness. Those who overbear will be brought to grief, fate will flail them on the winnowing floor. In due season, teach them to be wise. Written by the greatest mind and voice this country, unfortunately lost 2 years ago, The Burial at Thebes by Seamus Heaney. This new Ireland of the next 20, 30 or 40 years better look after and listen to the elders. We need to rethink and reimagine how we make safe and make sure our ageing population, and we need to do it very quickly. The average lifespan age of us all is 80 and it's rising. More than half of us will live on our own without a spouse, and we are having less children. And yet we are not giving enough thought to that. Are the autumn of our days to be left in institutions, nursing homes and intensive care routines which cut us off from the things that matter in our lives? I understand, and we all do, that some of us, and maybe many of us, it is not possible to live at home because complicated medical situations won't allow it. But 12,000 out of the 36,000 people who are in nursing homes, according to the Alone report, do not need to be there, and I have met them. Personally, I want to end my life in a massive traffic jam with enormous activity, yelling and bawling around me and hoping having caused it. We have... Only got 10 minutes. We must reverse the 80% standalone nursing homes which do not naturally infiltrate into the community or the community into them. Atul Gawande has written the greatest book of the last 10 years. It's called Being Mortal. Every one of you should read it. We have allowed our fates, he said, to be controlled by medicine, technology, and strangers. In my life, there has always been a sentence that I have read, or a reply from somebody that has made a fog in my head clear, or something that was said to me that became a propeller or an alteration of my life immediately. Tennessee Williams said it in A Streetcar Named Desire. He calls such an instance, and then there was God, so quickly. When my mother was in a nursing home recently for convalescence after a heart failure and all that ensued, we went every day, and one day we walked into the dining room and she was on my arm and I said, "Look, Mum, we will sit over there." And she looked down to the ground and she said, "I can't sit there. I'm not allowed to sit there. I have to sit where I'm put. I have a place." Now then, there was God so quickly for me. What I am saying is not an attack on brilliant nursing homes and wonderful nursing care and care that is evident. That's not my argument. It could never be. But we must have a conversation about the same money, the same energy, the same ideas, the same policy, the same protocol, the same procedure, the same solutions to dealing with the phenomenon of aging. In some Nordic countries, they have an adoption process for older people. How extraordinary, how brilliant, and how gracious. In some countries, there are creches in nursing homes. What about a fair deal package that is centred in your own home? Around appropriate care outside, away from fill-ins. And you pay the 7.5% or any percentage when you leave the island for good, depending on your care. What about a direct payment scheme for elders? And they can decide who comes to mind them. Old age was once multi-generational. It is now private. We need to preserve, or at least not allow this to get hold of our lives. Age is no longer rare. The knowledge and wisdom of age is now ignored. David Hickey, the world's most famous transplant surgeon, had to retire at 65 and was not allowed mentor somebody else to do pancreatic and kidney transplants. Google explains the world now. Not the wisdom of experience or age or well done. The tablets of Moses is now Apple. Philip Roth said, "Old age is not a battle. It's a goddamn massacre. And we cannot allow in any new republic that massacre by handing it over to somebody else." One of the places we must replicate is the Macaulay Centre in Naas, a home in the heart of town, a place to age, a place to age. 53 self-contained apartments in the middle of the town. You can do what you like. You can get drunk, you can buy a cushion, you can buy a flower, you can go to McDonald's, you can bet, you can do what you like. You are independent. I'm 80 years of age, she told me. I have a right to do what I want and to live the way I want and to have that choice. I don't want to give up my home. If I give up my home, I'll give up my control. Why were nursing homes invented? To clear out hospital beds. So the place where you and I are most likely to spend the rest of our lives wasn't created for us. Yes, I know we have quality and standards. I fully accept that. I. Oh, but it's safe, you say. It's safe. It may be safe, but I'm very unhappy. I left my apartment with all my things. I used to make my own jewellery. Now I watch a DVD. I have a passive group entertainment and I do bingo. Health and safety have successfully closed down the freedom of the aged. The elderly have less freedom than children. Now, I want to leave you because I know I'm over my time, but let me tell you that one of the finest lines was written by St. John when he said, "When you are old, you will stretch out your hand, and somebody else will dress you and lead you to where you do not want to go." He said that 2,000 years ago, and I say it again. This is the biggest problem in Ireland, and it doesn't have to be a problem. There are imaginative, creative, great solutions, and we should be looking for them. The Macaulay Place in every town, townland, and every city and every village in Ireland. The problem is that I'm not old. The problem is, an old man said to me, is that I am young. So that is my vision for a new Ireland in the next 20 and 25 years, that we spend as much time with the elderly who've stood on El linoleum for years in lower paid jobs, that we spend as much time and give as much credibility and credence to the elderly and keep them in their homes and bring the fair deal into their homes and not have them queuing up for it as an only alternative. That's my vision, and that's what I'll work for. Thank you.